I wonder if you've ever noticed that there are a gazillion exercises on YouTube, and sometimes they help people and sometimes they don't. Well, I am going to introduce you to a very simple system that can help you to recognize exercises that might be helpful to you and ones which potentially are not. And more importantly, how much to stretch it, how much to actually move that's beneficial without overdoing it. Now, firstly, the number one rule above everything, it's like the umbrella rule, is that any exercise that you do or activity that you do should only be done if it does not increase your leg symptoms. If there is a bit of discomfort elsewhere, say for example in the lower back, then that's kind of acceptable as long as it doesn't get severe. But if your leg symptoms are increased by a particular exercise like flossing or doing a Mackenzie extension, for example, then that's not going to be helpful to you, and it means that your particular type of sciatica maybe is not appropriate for that particular type of exercise. So, number one rule, don't do an exercise that increases the radiating leg pain symptoms. So what we have to do is establish, according to you, how much pain you're in. Now, if we use a simple scale of 1 to 10, with 0 being no pain and 10 being extreme pain, if you are in a 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 stage of severity of pain, then I would suggest you're in the red zone. And so the red zone is one where you need to be a bit more careful about how far you take your exercise or stretch and how quickly you do that exercise or stretch. My recommendation to people who are in that severe level of high pain is that it's much more beneficial to do a little bit less in terms of range of movement. So, for example, if you're lying on your back and rolling your knees over gently from side to side, then you should do it in a very small, maybe only 25 to 30% range of movement. If you try to stretch too far, there's irritability there, and it's probably got a possibility even of actually increasing those leg symptoms, even though it's potentially a very beneficial exercise to you. Now, if you are in a kind of 5, 6, 7 out of 10 type of level of pain, then I would suggest you're in the amber zone. And that is a zone which means that you can start to go a little bit further in terms of range. In terms of speed as well, you can go a little bit further with exercises, but you should be careful still not to overstretch to end of range discomfort. That can, again, potentially increase your symptoms. So if you are working with lying on your back, rolling your knees over side to side, I would say you go to about 75% of your range. And that is, again, starting to move you a little bit better, but at the same time, reducing that risk of irritation to the nerve and making your symptoms worse. Finally, if you are in a below 5 out of 10 in terms of pain, you're starting to move into that green zone, and that is a great place to be. It's a position where basically you can start to stretch things a little bit more, and you can do these exercises much more to the end of range. And as things become more comfortable, you stretch maybe 100% range and even add holds in terms of stretches at the end of those movements. And then you are really starting to get your back moving, and it can be really a period of real acceleration in terms of getting your problem better. Oh, and this also, of course, applies to the number of repetitions. If you are in the red zone, then you should be careful about how many repetitions that you do. And it may well be that you do a few less reps. But as you get better into the amber zone, into the green zone, then basically you can increase those number of repetitions. So we're increasing duration of stretch and movement, and also the number of repetitions that you do. So very simple traffic light system to decide, first of all, if your exercise is appropriate for you, i.e. it doesn't increase your leg symptoms, and 2, how much of that exercise to actually do. I hope that's useful to you. I use it in clinic a lot. It helps people to understand that one exercise can be done in lots of different ways, and it can be beneficial to you, but doing it in a different way can actually make things worse.